All right, everybody. Hey, what's going on? It's Sunday. Sunday fun day, as John Assad would say. Sunday fun day. And I call this Sunday show the Order of Velvet Bite. Not that I'm orderly or anything like that. I guess it's like the Order of the Golden Dawn. So I'm kind of mocking them in a way. But yeah, it should be fun to do Sundays kind of lax because Sundays are actually chaotic because we're getting ready for my husband to leave and get on the road. So it's kind of like he goes and I'm transitioning into this. This week, I got all three little doggos. Our little boo boo bear has hurt his back somehow. He's okay. He's not in excruciating pain or anything. He just seems to be having a little difficulty jumping up on the bed and the couch, which is not normal. So he was twisting. We think he twisted his back a little bit. So he's taking the week off and he's resting. I gave him a doggy aspirin. So he's under the bed, under my desk right here by my feet with a bone, resting. I'll probably have to pick him up and put him on the bed and stuff later. So we got him here. Maxie's on the chair. Petey was here, but Petey, when bones are involved, he tends to take his bone and hide and doesn't want anyone touching his bone. So my little dorky Yorkie, my sweetie Petey, is doing his own thing. He's probably laying in the bedroom napping, but he was here just a moment ago laying by me as well, but he's off doing his own thing. So it's me and the boys, and we are doing the Order of Velvet Bite Sunday stream. It should be so fun. It's a little less, it's no vampire. We have vampires coming up in this week because it's Halloween week. So it should be exciting. But this one, doggy CBD can help with pain. I don't know. I'm in Utah. I don't know if I can even get that here. If I was in Canada, I'd know exactly where to go for doggy CBD. But I think he'll be okay. I think he just needs to rest, and tomorrow I think he'll be a lot better. He just needs to rest. He certainly couldn't have him going on the truck. And, if you're a truck driver, you're busy, you can't, it's hard to deal with a dog who might have pain. I mean, it's best for him just to lay here. If things get worse, I can take him to the vets. I suspect things will get better because, honestly, things are really getting good. I was going to call this show Coffee, some kind of coffee show in the morning, but I was like, I'm not even drinking coffee. This is just sparkling water because my throat gets dry. I made up this drink this morning. I took my sugar-free, low-carb almond milk. I steamed it up in a pot, and I have this Tazo tea that's like vanilla, cinnamon, cardamom. It's got all these vanilla flavors in it with black tea, and I steeped it in the almond milk, and it was really good. So it's kind of making up for no coffee, and the almond milk is really lower calorie. Because when you give me coffee, I get the whipped cream in there, and I can't not have cream. And I think it ends up being 200 or 300 calorie meal, like, a snack by the time I'm done. And I don't know, when you're going through perimenopause, I don't think I put coffee on an empty stomach and that's it. I'm feeling funky these days. So it was a hard to get it out, but I'm replacing it with things that are probably a little bit better for me, and I've been doing, my husband does carnivore, and I want to do a show talking about this eventually. I did quit coffee. I can't call this coffee chat because I'm not drinking coffee, but y'all can drink coffee with me. You can do it. You can do the coffee. That was Jonathan asking about the coffee, but I'm not really, I was trying carnivore, but I was not losing weight, and I've suddenly started to lose more weight again because I've pushed down the fat and the protein's there, but it's more like strict, like a keto. I have to have a little bit of broccoli and some other stuff, and I've been doing some of this stuff for so long with no sugar that I can understand, like, if you had a high sugar diet, that it would be like a disaster. You would be like, oh God, that tastes horrible. But for me, because I'm not used to the sugar anymore after years of not really having it, I'm fine with it. It's just, every once in a while I see places that I'm like, oh, I really want to go there on a cheat day, and I don't know. We're gonna go a few months before we have a cheat day. There is this place in Utah. It's called Burgatory, and I want to go there because it's horror movie themed burger place, which is kind of clever. I think it's in Salt Lake City, and I really want to go. So if I do a cheat meal, I wouldn't do a cheat day. I would do a meal with one thing in it. I think I'm gonna go to Burgatory, and I'll make a video saying, "Hey, we're stuck in Burgatory with some yummy burgers and some sweet potato fries or whatever else." But you can Google it. They've got like clever names for their burger and the whole horror movie thing. Anyways, I digress. That's not part of what we're talking about today. We are actually going to talk about a few things. I've got this kind of segmented. We're going to have an intermission break on the hour because we're going to go for 2 hours today. It's Sunday. It's sort of my religious practice, I guess, is to do this show now. We're going to be talking about Mormon Monarch. It's a website. It's literally MK Ultra Mormonism. And we're talking about this because of the Charlie Kirk stuff that just happened here. And I think it's relevant. So I think it's important. But before we go in there, I kind of want to remind everybody, I wrote this down somewhere. Yeah, intro. I put intro chat. Here's what we have to, here's my mantra. Here's why this should be, here's why this should be the order of Velvet Bite. Here's my mantra for everybody. Don't wear their logos. Don't give them any money. Don't put their logos on your lawn. Don't go to their mass events. Don't go to their major events. Stuff like Charlie Kirk, stuff like rallies. I don't care what party it's for. And probably limit your media exposure to them. That's my mantra. No logos, no money, no massive events in big stadiums. They're tracking you. They're tracking you for more money. They're greedy. And when you put their logo on you, you are branding yourself like a big old moo cow. You are not only branding yourself, that logo is supercharged. It's supercharged with emotions and feelings and everything that they want. And you're advertising for them and you're stamping them and you're not really getting anything back for it. You're what? You're getting some hyped up rallies and some feel goods. It's all emotional and you want to stay in I don't mean you want to be this cold, clinical, crazy person from hell, but you want to stay somewhere where you are stable and neutral. Oh, Kirby, welcome to the chat. I'm just doing my mantra of don't put their logos on you, no money, no mass events. You have to create your own sanctuary in your own mind because they're always out to mind control you. And we're going to get into this mind control stuff in a few minutes here about the Mormon Monarch. Remember the Monarch program? Let me just remind you what it is. I'm going to give you, I don't want to butcher this. They're like, someone's like, Project Monarch is a citizen science project that enables members of the public to collect important data on monarch butterfly migration. That's not the Project Monarch that we're talking about. That's not the one. That is not it. We're talking about the one that runs in with MK Ultra. Here we go. Oh, it's a debunked conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory alleging that the CIA ran secret mind control programs as an extension of a proven program, MK Ultra. The claims of Project Monarch have been widely debunked and lack credible evidence. Okay, so Google sucks. And the reason there's no evidence is because they burned it all and they destroyed it all. They destroyed all the evidence and just gave out little tidbits. That's what they do. So Google's AI is gaslighting us on behalf of the system. Thank you very much, Google. You suck. It's confused with the MK Ultra. No, MK Often and Project Monarch, those things were all subsets. Watch Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. You'll see there's they're seen in the games room. with the twins. They're standing there and they're like, "Hello, Danny," or whatever. I don't even think they don't say anything actually in this scene. They're silent. But on the wall, you see Monarch. It's like a ski resort. This is weird, y'all. The algorithm not let me tell you I'm leaving soon. Weird. Crazy. So, anyways, Project Monarch is, I think, what this guy's referring to. And we're going to go into his website and you can tell me what you think about it. And if you think he's legit, because I mean, he could be making it up. How do we know? But before we go in there, there's a show coming out on Tuesdays for subscribers only. It's over at Substack, and you guys know the drill. Most of you are subscribed there, but if you're not and you're coming in, it is melissadonharris.substack.com. I'll put that little address right over my face there in the corner, so you can go check it out. And over at the Substack, you can see how it started up. And you can see that this is the main page. If you go on the website, the mobile one's set up totally differently, but you can see it set up into occult essays, Velvet Bite Radio. This is all the stuff available to you. The Ancient Egyptian MK Ultra CIA show is available to you public. You can go check it out. It's on Substack only. And then we have a paid exclusive section. So if you go into the paid exclusive section on Tuesday, there's a show where I analyze Erica Kirk and some of her speeches, along with another lady. I use her video as a reference. It's going to be coming out on Tuesday, I believe, like 8 in the morning. But also, you can go here, access archive links, and you go under this. This is pinned. And right here, you get the links to go to a whole bunch of magazines and stuff I've archived for the paid subscribers over at Substack. So, of course, once again, that is melissadonharris.substack.com. Incognito said, okay, so we got some great important things. The NSA released documents about Monarch, MK Ultra, etc. a few years ago. Kurt Meser keeps bringing this up. Yeah, well, Google AI is gaslighting us. They're saying no such thing. No such thing, my friends. No such thing. There is. They've released it, and there's so much that they've destroyed that we will never find out. So let's get into our main story here, and that is, of course, this very website that I'm going to show you. And then we'll get into some video clips that talk about Mormonism and why it's ripe. Religious people are ripe for brainwashing. And I don't want to be rude to anybody who's hyper religious. If you're not critical and you don't use your own mind and you're like a hive mind, you're so much more easier to brainwash. Plus, there's family lines that get into this. So let's go over to the Mormon. No, we'll go over to this one. And Mormon Monarch. He says, I'm a survivor of the CIA's trauma-based mind control program, MK Ultra, and a CIA sleeper assassin who is now awake. I am blowing the whistle. All I'm going to say is, you know what? He's awake, but who knows? These people are, we don't know. Keep your eye out on this guy. I'll tell you who he is in a second, but this is his website. I am who I am. He grew up in the Mormon church, obviously. And in the Mormon church, he kind of describes like his father being like this satanic member who was hiding behind the Mormon church as, I guess, some kind of satanic abusive agent. And so we're going to go through some of the stuff. And he also talks about, I don't know if my husband can weigh in on this. He talks about the Mormon connection and blood atonement. We're going to go to that site because I'm not familiar with this. I am new to Utah. I've only lived here for a couple of years. I'm not Mormon, but my grandmother, when I was a baby, she decided for some reason that she thought, before I was even born, actually, she thought that the family would benefit from doing Mormonism that would help their marriage, and it didn't. My grandfather's problems were way above Mormonism. She was the only one. She had my uncles kind of baptized or something, or in the church. She had them involved, but it didn't save her marriage. It didn't save anything. And when I was born, I was baptized in the Church of the Good Shepherd, which is Anglican, which is essentially Catholic for King Henry VIII. Like, they do everything the Catholics do. I mean, they're more progressive now than the Catholics are, but they're kind of gone crazy now. But at the time, it was pretty Catholic-y. So I was baptized. My mom wouldn't let me. My mother was suspicious of the Mormons, so I think she had a right to be there. Anyways, so that's my history. But who is this guy in the Mormon Monarch? We're going to kind of scroll through and check it out. His name is J.R. Sweet, and that's a picture of him when he was 19. And he's saying, let's go down here, because he says, I was born into this world, into a family that on the surface seemed to most people to be a fine and upstanding all-American Mormon family. And there's a picture of his family there. Even in my own mind, that is how I perceived it to be, as it was all that I had ever known. But beneath the surface of this thin veneer of normalcy was a dark family secret. I was born into a generationally incestual, satanic family bloodline, and the lineage of our family tree reaches back to King Henry VIII. Oh, I was just mentioning him. I actually go back to the Plantagenets, which is funny. They says this. There's a lot of Americans who go back to the Plantagenets, actually, especially if they were off the boat, off the Mayflower. And my family, even though I'm Canadian, my family, you go way back, were Americans that came up to Canada. So he says it's a fact he's not proud of. He says his family was involved with MK Ultra from its earliest conceptions through his grandfather on his father's side, Mark D. Sweet. This man was a Satanist, pedophile, and a murderer who was hiding in the Mormon church and was involved with the Central Intelligence Agency shortly after its conception, following the Second World War. A lot of weird things happened in America following the Second World War and into the 60s. I might mention that a little bit later, but some crazy stuff started happening, in my opinion. Okay, so he had a close relationship with Senator Robert Byrd. Isn't he tied in with Hillary Clinton? I don't know. If someone remind me about that, about Robert Byrd. And deep governmental connections, as well as several connections within the country music industry. He actually lists Garth Brooks as a CIA kind of MK Ultra star. Seriously, and I believe anything at this point. I believe the whole industry, music, Hollywood is that way. This man, I'm assuming it's his grandfather, was also instrumental in the construction of the Monarch programming facilities located beneath, get this, Disneyland in Anaheim. California Disneyland is a massive Monarch mind control program. I feel so guilty for taking my son there, which is incorporated into the park and its rides, as well as being located underneath the park and in elaborate tunnel systems. Remember that the satanic panic and the tunnel stuff and things being in? Jonacide said, I dated an ex-Mormon, and she said a lot of crazy stuff about growing up Mormon. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. I don't know personally. Now he goes on to say, like I was saying, do you guys remember the daycare scandal and all the things, the underground tunnels they were saying, like kids were saying, like it sounded crazy, and the media made it look like it was all crazy and nuts and that the woman was schizophrenic? This stuff makes you wonder. It really does, if satanic panic wasn't real. He said he was one of his grandfather's personal projects, and from the time that he was born, he was molested and raped by his father, R.A., Mark D. Sweet, and his uncle, Gail Pooley, and many others for the specific purpose of causing me to go into severe state of dissociation and trauma. Now, I talk about this in that other podcast on the ancient Egyptians Trauma equals dissociation. Dissociation is a primer to raise assassins and psychopaths, people you want to put into the schools, the elite schools, to do crazy things. And the reason why is dissociation. You can just fucking go crazy and change your personality left, right, and center. You're like this person. Donald Trump dissociates all the time. Watch him. Watch him. It's why it doesn't bother him to call us crazy and that Epstein, what about that? Because he dissociates. Clear psychopathic traits, by the way, clearly. Uh, let's go into this. Yeah, they did it by splitting his mind. They were able to build within me several different personalities for several different purposes and tasks required by the agency in the Pentagon. The purposes and tasks that I and all mind slaves are and were assigned are so awful that no sane-minded individual would perform these tasks neither for God nor country. He's saying he didn't start in with the CIA till he was 38 years old. It's interesting because in Judaism, like in that, was it Kabbalah or extreme cult stuff, they don't reveal to you their crazy stuff until you're 35. So it's interesting that he doesn't start till 38. Because you grow up probably believing Judaism light, and then when you're 35, apparently they tell you all this creepy occult stuff that you're supposed to achieve enlightenment by pain and causing pain to other weird stuff. Weird stuff. It happens when you're 35. Creepy. And the reason they do that is they probably brainwashed you by then. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. I was made to endure. Deeply, okay, it says, as the memories of the events I was made to endure were deeply buried under years of trauma, hypnosis, drugs, and mental binds, and electrocution, as is the process of trauma-based mind control. And it wasn't until the year 2017 AD, that's interesting to write Annos Dominos at the end of 2017, that I began to realize that there was something strangely wrong in my past. Though at the time I did not understand what that was, I had always had strange occurrences in my life, which, when experienced as a single incident, did not at the time seem to be too odd. But upon further examination, and when put into context, it begins to create a very disturbing picture of the world in which I was raised. One thing that I've always found strange in my past has been the fact that I was always running into people who knew my uncle and CIA handler, Gail Pooley. This is getting creepy. So again, Mormonism and that university, UVU, where Charlie Kirk was assassinated and publicly, ritually and publicly executed, is known for recruiting FBI agents for sure. Just so you know, that the Mormon Church is heavily invested in this, in my opinion. I don't trust any of them. Okay. It goes on to talk about who he is. This is his story. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can read it. I don't want to just have this podcast be me reading his story, but as you can tell, it's very traumatic and involves torture, RA, SA, electrocution, drugs. And look what they're doing now to our children. Look at the medications they have everybody on. It's so twisted. You have to wonder, what's the purpose? And, as I go through, I don't know what many of your spiritual beliefs are, but I don't get attached to any of the major churches or religions. And I've tried to, and my inner self is always just kicking back like, this is so wrong. This is so messed up. These people are just blind. They don't question anything. And I always feel like I can't be myself under any of these circumstances. I always feel like, I don't know if you're there with me, but I always feel like something is wrong with me when I go and try to be part of any of these organizations, and then I go home and I feel fine. I'm like, okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with me. I just think these organizations are full of psychopaths. So I don't know, you tell me how, if you've ever had an experience and how these places make you feel, because they make me feel quite terrible. Even working for a corporation makes me feel. So, I mean, we pop up and he's married. So he's older now. He says, as we drove, my wife and I talked with this man. And it turned out that he was from northern Idaho, which is a lot of Mormons there too. And he knew who my Uncle Gale was, of course. He told us that he had gone to college with him in years past. I found this to be quite coincidence that the man questioned my wife and I on what we were doing up in the North Country and what our plans were. The whole event seemed odd to both my wife and I at the time, and we had dropped the man off at his motorcycle without incident. But it had been a strange incident, which I would wonder about for years to come. I could not understand how it was that I could meet so many people who always knew my Uncle Gale. It's probably because they're tracking him. Another strange coincidence occurred while I was attending the University of Idaho. I had a desk in the architectural studio next to a window on the second floor building. The window had a nice view of the administration building, lawn, and trees. There was a man who would walk with a limp and was dressed in a black collared shirt, black dress slacks, black leather shoes, and a black overcoat, with a military-style haircut, standing outside my studio, smoking cigarettes and staring at me through the glass from the street below. This went on for some time, but he would just stand there, and it went on for months. He was he talks about it seems like people are spying on him and watching him, and it's really spooky. Yeah, here I want to go forward a bit here. He says, along with the strange occurrences in my life, I also had several holes in my memory as to the events of my youth, and my wife began to take notice of this from early on in our marriage, when I would be unable to answer her questions regarding my past. This is common. Okay, you guys, missing memories is common in abuse, and I've heard this from other Mormons that they're like, I can't remember anything from before I was 10, as I can remember things from when I was 3. I had relatives who had they were like not it was like my grandmother's sister's kids, and she had died when they were really young, and they were raised by this abusive father. Again, they just block things out. They're like, I can't remember. I'm like anything below 12. They just couldn't remember it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean you can't remember anything? Nothing. It's common that they just can't remember. Abuse does that. Abuse also, guys, makes you more psychic. It can make you tap into psychic abilities or mind abilities that someone without abuse maybe wouldn't be able to tap into. Again, The Shining, guys, it's telling you about what abuse does to a child. Go watch that movie. It's not just about a haunted hotel. He says, in the spring of 2017, we were doing some spring cleaning. 2017 was a big year for this guy, huh? And we were going through things we could get rid of and things that may have value for such selling as Craigslist, etc., etc. And I remembered that I had a picture of Charlie Pride that I had acquired at one of his concerts. I mentioned to my wife that it was too bad that I had not met Charlie Pride when I had gone to see him with my grandparents when I was 15 years old. Perhaps if he had autographed the picture I had of him, then it would have some value to it. My wife laughed at my remarks and said that the picture was in fact signed by Charlie Pride, but she said that it would not have any value to it as he was not that popular of a musician. When she said this, I was really confused because I could not remember meeting this man, Charlie Pride, let alone getting his autograph. I could remember going to the show with my cousin and grandparents, but I could only recall meeting a couple other band members. Charlie had been backstage and was not meeting people that day. So I don't know what he's going to say after this. We're going to say this is all alleged, so no one freaks out at me. Frustrated, my wife told me that the picture was in the attic, and she said that I should go find it and see for myself. And of course, he goes and finds it, and it's signed. How could it be that I was not able to remember meeting a famous country musician? It's insane that there's MK Ultra in the country music industry. I think that's what he's hinting at. It's This is all post 60s. You know, something happened in 1969. The Supreme Court loosened obscenity laws. There was a lot of obscenity laws and legal protections for against sexually explicit material and porn. And in the 60s, they made it legal and they loosened the laws. And that's when you seen, and we know who owns that industry. That's why you start seeing things go really crazy in the 60s and into the 70s. And it's not for our best interest, by the way. Because New York City throughout the 70s was egregious and a shithole because of that. All right. So he goes to a therapist because he's like, how can I not remember all this stuff? Like, what's going on? He had he's saying he has memory flash of being hypnotized and thought that this would be the best way to break through his repressed memories. The therapist that I saw was an old Christian woman who had practice based out of her home. When I first met her, we sat down in the living room. While I was there on this first visit, her telephone began to ring. And when she would try to answer the phone, there was no one on the other end. The phone would also ring once or twice, nothing. So it's like people are trying to, that's a weird and creepy. It's like a horror movie. It really is. On either my first or second visit with a therapist, I had her take me into a state of deep hypnosis to try to walk me through the meeting of Charlie Pride. As at this time, I could still not remember meeting this man, though I knew that I had from the autograph picture I had of him. I also had my therapist tell me my subconscious mind on our first meeting while under hypnosis that it was safe to remember. So what goes on here? After he does experience a flood of memories unlocked by subconscious suggestion, which my therapist had given to me, that it was safe to remember. Yeah, he doesn't really mention them. He's been working on writing them out. I'm not so sure. He became familiar with Kathy O'Brien, and you may have seen her. I believe she was on Jimmy Dore's show, where she talked about how she had the same stuff with the CIA and Project Monarch. And remember, they experiment on their own children. So I was talking about, let's pop me up into the big one here. I was talking about when we were talking about ancient Egypt. I was talking about how in ancient Egypt they experiment on themselves first with all this killing, and so you can go listen to it. And then they would experiment on the pharaoh and his family. And it's for family members, and then they take all this intense stuff. All the abuse happens in that core circle, you guys. And then they take that out and they put it out to the public. All the manipulation they did to the pharaoh, they tell the public, hey, the pharaoh is this god and he enacts the stuff of the special god, and but all behind the scenes they're manipulating and torturing the pharaoh so they can tell him to reenact things of the god, which is basically what the deep state wants. You know, it gets more complicated than that, but you get what I'm saying. So he just, it's a lot. I can't read every single thing. It's just too much. But you get the idea that he has to go in and he's writing about his past. I encourage you to read it. And we're going to go over now to that interesting part of the show. Let's replace this. We're going to talk about the Mormon connection and the blood atonement. We're starting midway here because he talks about satanic elite. They like to use the word satanic. This is just ritual abuse. This is all abusive, insane stuff because they realize these tactics are how you brainwash people and how you damage their mind and how you control them. So he says about this, the connection between the Mormon Church, the CIA, and blood atonement. It says the Mormon Church, or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a prominent religion in Utah and southern Idaho, where I was raised. Very strict Mormon family. It's interesting that a lot of these strict families have some insane abuse in them, isn't it? Through my experience, I learned that the Mormon Church is under the control of a satanic cabal that is hiding within its congregations and is in control of the highest positions within the church structure. The leaders of the church are what would be considered literal Satanists, practicing what they refer to as the left-hand path of God. I am not saying this to be judgmental or mean or to simply make grand statements. I am simply stating a fact due to my experiences with this religion and its leaders. The satanic network within the church is deeply connected to the satanic elite and the Central Intelligence Agency's trauma-based mind control program. In particular, and more to the direct point, the Mormon Church provides generational sexually abused children to the CIA for their use in their MK Ultra trauma-based mind control program. Come on, guys. Is that what happened? Is that what happened? Hey, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Good to see you here. But is that what happened here in Utah? Are those Patsy kids? Were they part of some mind control that they're just offered up? It's so insane. I think so. I think there's a huge possibility. We're gonna review some stuff. I've got a clip about a woman in the Mormon Church, kind of revealing some stuff, and she was high up. Growing up as a child, church was a big part of our lives. And when I was young, I attended church. Sunday services were always 3 hours long. This meant that our entire Sunday was always consumed with getting ready for, going to, and cleaning up after church. Sounds exhausting. So he says this is really, I can remember one evening when I was very young and the church building that I was in was used for something other than sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ or a Cub Boy Scouts function. Something very bad happened. An entire family was murdered. I'm going to say allegedly at this point. This is his testimony. This is not mine. It was evening and was dark outside. I must have been around 6 or 7 years old at the time, though I do not remember exactly how old I was. I can remember that I was at one of the church buildings there in Nampa, Idaho, with my family. We lived in the southern edge of town on a street called Shipman Circle. There had been a Scouts function that night at the church. It was an award ceremony of some kinds. Many of family were present at the Scouts award ceremony, including our father, Mark D. Sweet, and my uncle Gail Pooley, and my older brother, and my younger brother, as well as my younger cousins. There's a whole bunch of them. At that time in my life, we all lived in Nampa. On that evening, there had been a larger than expected crowd of people and members of the church who had come to the Scout ceremony, and they had to open one of the accordion-style dividers to accommodate for the larger crowd. I can remember that after the Scouts award ceremony, some people left right away and went about their evening, and on the other hand, some people stuck around in the room to talk as adults will do and clean up and yada yada. My younger brother and I had been told by our uncle Gail shortly after the meeting that we were not to leave when our father was ready to take us home. He said that rather he would give us a ride home when he was ready to leave the church building later that evening. We were all family, so this made sense at the time. When our father was ready to leave, he came and found me in the halls. My father told me that he was going to head home and he was going to take our brother. That didn't happen. My younger brother and I and our cousin played in the halls for a long time. We played together. He kind of goes on and on. He was introverted as a child. I was young and wanted to go home. I can remember going back to the meeting room to see what was going on and when we might be able to leave, as after a while, many of the attendees had gone home for the night. But it seemed as though something more was going on that night, as someone told me that they were waiting for one talkative person to leave the building before we could do what we were waiting to do. He really liked to talk and da-da-da-da. Then I can remember after that time, the large older gentleman who was talkative walked by me in the halls and was heading towards the doors in the building. He was a nice man and he said goodbye. I was relieved to see him leave because something seemed to be going on and I just wanted to go home that night. A short time after this, my younger brother came and found me. I followed my brother to the room where there were still several adults and children. When we got there, we checked in with our uncle. Okay, so this is just going on. We need to get to the point. There were members of the church who were spreading thick plastic. Oh, this is creepy. There were members of the church there who were spreading thick plastic down on the floor in the room and covering it up for some reason. Other members were closing the accordion-style dividers. My younger brother brought our cousin back to the room a short time later, and we three all stood together against the wall of the room, preparing for something. The lights were turned down low in this room somehow, and I can remember my grandfather telling someone in the room to go and get the white punch bowl out from the kitchen of the church and bring it to him. I can also remember my uncle and a couple other members of the group snorting a line of cocaine there in the room. They did this out in the open in front of everyone, and no one seemed to mind. Those who were not into this kind of behavior simply acted like it was normal. They turned a blind eye to it. In this satanic group, potions and drugs are accepted. For me at this point, things were beginning to go over the rainbow, and I was pushed into other personalities familiar with types of these behaviors. My grandfather bought a knife, and I remember adults talking about it. This was long, sharp ceremonial blade with a bone white handle. In It just keeps going on. I want to get to the whole point. Okay, here we go. Some moments passed before these members came back inside the building, leading a group of people that were wearing white or light gray colored robes with hoods. The hoods were pulled up over their heads, and their hands were tied in front of them, and each of them held onto the robe of the person in front of them as they entered the building. Their ankles were also bound in some way, and there was rope connecting their ankles to their hands so that they were bound. They had blindfolds on, and their mouths were also gagged. The people in robes varied in size, with two of them being taller and the rest of them shorter. As they entered the building, there were about 6 or 7 of them altogether, and I confess that I cannot remember. The people in robes led into the center of the room where the plastic had been laid on the floor. You guys know what's going to happen. You guys, I mean, nobody just puts plastic on the floor because it's fun times. Basically, they're going to sacrifice an entire family, is what he's saying. And he describes them: a girl, 2 young teens were chosen to hold them. He was chosen to hold a young boy about his age with red hair. He was made to stand behind him and hold him in place there on his knees. Dear. When the prisoners could see where they were, and they took the blindfolds off them, and I can remember to have to hold the young boy so that he did not get free from me in his struggle. This was all horror to be involved with. I can remember my grandfather saying loudly, all right, calm down, calm down. They stopped struggling. When the woman's gag was removed, I can remember that she screamed. It was the most terrifying scream that dug deep into one's heart and soul. She screamed and yelled for help, and her husband also screamed with her, and they both called out for someone to hear them there in the building. Boy. I will tell you that this is all horror to be involved with, and even this memory has taken me several months. I can remember my grandfather start telling the man and the woman that they both knew they were there in the situation that they were in, as they had been saying bad things about some of the members of the group, and that they're, oh boy. So what, we say bad things and we get sacrificed? The man and the woman on their knees openly accused the family in question of being sexually abusive to their children, so they were going to kill them. I can remember my grandfather telling the man and the woman that things that they were talking about were sacred and they should not have been working to expose this family. I can remember that there was no mercy in any of this. He said it was time to send them back to God. Oh my gosh. Then the runner of the blade bent the man's head up so that he could look at the man he was about to kill indirectly. He cut his throat right there over the punch bowl. This is really graphic, guys. They basically... my uncle moved, and next he killed the woman in the same manner. He slit her throat, drained her blood into a white punch bowl. And his little brother was made to move along down the line of victims. The group of prisoners struggled less with each death as their mother and the fight in them seemed to be fading as reality of what was occurring get fully set in. After killing the woman, the runner of the blade moved quickly on to the children, killing each of them in the same manner as their parents. Every single member of this family was murdered on that night, from the father and the mother through all the children. Their blood was drained into a white punch bowl, which my little brother was made to hold and move from victim to victim. Whew, okay, that was absolutely the blood atonement. That's the blood atonement. And maybe Charlie was made to pay a blood atonement in front of everybody because he'd been talking shit about something, and maybe more the higher up Mormons are into this. I don't think your general Mormon population is into this or aware of this, just so you know. Incognito says, that's blood atonement. I actually feel a little bit sick Sunday. Look, if you want to be spiritual, you don't, we don't need to do that. Whew, I'm not going to read any more of that. You can go read it yourself. That was enough for me. Whether, I can't say whether that happened for real. This guy is saying he is Project Monarch, abused through the Mormon Church. And from what I have just seen in Utah, there's some crazy stuff going on with Charlie Kirk, and it's the land of Zion. They're Zionists, that's for sure. And how grotesque of them to use you're going back to God and you betrayed the family. It's just such a grotesquerie, really, isn't it? An absolute grotesquerie. So, we're coming up on the hour, so that was insane. It almost leaves you kind of speechless to even if you know that stuff happens, just to read it is kind of crazy. We're going to check out a video clip here. We're going to play this, and then we're going to go on a little break, and we'll come back for the second hour. It talks about, it's more on the Mormon Church, and we'll cap this up. I got a few more things. I think I want to, I'm almost like, I think I want to be on something that's more positive. This is not positive. This is daughter of top Mormon leader speaks out. Her father was Elder Hartman Rector Jr. She speaks out about the secret ritual for Mormon royalty, and I'm going to let this play for a few minutes, and you can hear what she has to say. It might tie into that.
That, there's this other thing, it's called the second anointing, and it's also called the more sure witness of the Spirit. Yeah. Calling election matrix. That's it. Okay. So he said that when they were called, that they had this extra, it's like part of the things that they do at the temple. And in addition to the endowment, there's this other thing that they do up in the Holy of Holies, only certain people. And he said, it's not just the brethren. He said, all the brethren have had it. But other people who are faithful members who have proven themselves over time, usually they're older, they've shown dedication over years to the gospel and that they could be trusted, that they will have, be called to do this. And he didn't say much about it except that one of the parts of it was my mother washed his feet, but not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
That's all I remember. But I do remember also him saying the important part of it was that once you've had it, you can't commit any sin. I mean, you can commit all kinds of sins, but you're not held accountable. Like you kind of get a free pass unless
to the celestial kingdom.
Right. You are
to exaltation.
To exaltation. Yeah. It is sure.
You're a god.
You are
basically.
there.
You're a god.
You can do all kinds of stuff. You can cheat on your taxes. You can cheat on your wife. You can lie. It doesn't matter what you do aside from. And I thought he said denying the Holy Spirit. I thought there were two of them.
That would make sense.
Innocent blood. And then denying the Holy Spirit.
Okay, just not.
Right. So basically what he was saying.
So apparently they're not supposed to do murder, but apparently you can do a blood atonement. And right in the comments here, Incognito says, if you violate an oath, they kill you. It's from Freemasonry, and the Ziolas have a similar thing as well.
And is, I can do no wrong. No matter what I do.
That will affect his salvation.
Right.
And his exaltation.
But he took it further. He didn't just say that will affect his, he said he can do no wrong. And that he was always right. Always right. So he would never apologize for anything he ever did. Never. I never heard him say he was sorry. To my mom, he did, but not us kids. So he could act horribly, and many times he did. And there were things that he did that I would think, I'd say that's wrong, and I would call him out, and he would say, no, I've had my second anointing.
Like what types of things?
This is so typical for religious extremists, because look, it's all a corporation. Most of it's about money in the end. And if you're up at the top, you have to be dirty, and you're playing in a game where you have to do horrible things. And these are narcissists and psychopaths because they pretend to be pious on the outside and good. And they're a bunch of douchebag, evil people in their inner circle when they're families.
Back in, I want to say 79.
Yeah, 79 is the date that I remember, but I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, he did a conference talk, and he was quoting other people. He was quoting Kimball from Miracle of Forgiveness. He wasn't really saying anything that was rogue, but he said that, in essence, homosexuality was a sin. It was a choice.
Let's see, let me read this. Yeah. I'm sorry. In his 1981 General Conference address, 81. Rector taught, quote, if children have a happy family experience, they will not want to be homosexuals, which I am sure is an acquired addiction, just as drugs, alcohol, and are.
Whoa.
So he gave that talk.
Yeah. I didn't agree.
You didn't like that?
No.
Why weren't you on board with that?
I never thought that it was a choice. I thought they were probably born like that. Because I would hear them, they'd say, hey, I've been like this as long as I can remember. Like, since I was a kid, I knew I was different. And so I think, well, why would anyone choose it anyway? Number one, they're just going to get shunned and treated like crap. Why would anyone choose that? So it must have been something that they were born.
Someone put in the comments here, taking the blood oath out of the temple was enough for me. I don't know what he means about that. Well, we're obviously talking about that blood oath, where you get to die, they get to kill you.
And I just couldn't equate it. It felt to me like it was something they couldn't help, like skin color. I didn't think it was something that they could help. It was just in them. So for my dad to come out and say that I felt like it was harsh. And back then we didn't have transcripts. You could just go read. I heard it. I was sitting there. I heard it, and I was like, whoa, what did he just say? And then we waited for the ensign to come out with it in it, and it had been redacted. So it wasn't there. And I'm like, where'd it go?
Why would they have redacted that back then?
Well, it turns out that the New York Times ran a piece on it, like right after, like the next day. And said, prominent Mormon, whatever they called him, says, this, and they quoted it, and it was, bad press for the church. So that's what I think.
Right. So now the church is involved with trannies being involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk. It's so convoluted. It's hard for people to wrap their minds around. I mean, being good should be really simple, but these church people seem to make it really difficult, don't they? They make it really difficult. And I'm talking about the high ups, the people in position of power. I'm not talking about your everyday Mormon. However, you unwittingly support this. Unwittingly. You give your money and your tithes and your time and your missionary. You feed into it.
I think they went in and just took it right out. He didn't seem to care. The feeling I got from him when I, mentioned it to him, I said, hey, you said some stuff in conference. I heard you say it. And then they took it out. What's up with that? What happened? And he was like, oh yeah, they do that kind of thing. He just kind of rolled it off like it was nothing. And I said, is that how you really feel? Do you really feel like that? And he said, I absolutely, that's exactly what I feel. I said what I felt. I said what the Spirit told me to say, and I didn't say anything wrong. I think that I was absolutely right. They had to take it out. He said they just do that. So he didn't.
So it's all a political game because they don't want bad PR. So they dissociate from what they said, and then they take another route. Dissociation. He put, yes, Mormons had the blood oath in the temple ceremony. Like the Freemasons, they changed the ceremony for the plebs. Ooh. I wouldn't want to give I don't give blood oath to anybody. Fuck that shit.
Felt bad about it. I never got that from him.
And you were telling the story on the tail end of talking about the second anointing and how he could never be wrong.
Yeah.
So would this have been an instance where he would have acted in that way?
He used that. In fact, he would say, if there was an argument, he would pull that out of the bag and say, hey, I've had my second anointing.
Really?
Yeah.
Not joking.
Not joking. He would use that. So that ended the discussion. There was no further discussion. I've had my second anointing. So you're like, and I mean,
you can't pull that on your mom because she had it too.
Right. She'd be like, as kids, we just roll our eyes and be like, are you kidding me? You're not supposed to talk about this. You're not.
You knew they were supposed to.
We knew. Yeah. He told us, he said, we don't talk about this. I don't want you to repeat this. This is all, this is secret, sacred stuff. And, but so I knew he wasn't supposed to be using it like that. And that just would infuriate me. It was like.
Wow. Okay. So bizarre. So bizarre. So we're going to leave it there. I'm going to do a little bit of a bathroom break, and we'll come back for the second hour. Chicana Talks is in from Twitch. FM3. I don't know what that means. Please go ahead and subscribe over at Twitch. We're also streaming live right now on Substack. The Substack RTMP is working, you guys. So we're streaming live there. We are on YouTube and Rumble. So whatever is your platform, you got a few options, and subscribe free on Substack anyways. Before I go, I'll leave it up on the screen. You can go over there. You can be a free or paid subscriber. We are going to do a little bit of break, and we're going to come back. I'm going to do a little tarot reading at the end, guys. It's my last thing, so stick around because I'll draw whoever is active in the comment. Maybe I'll draw you a card. I'll draw a general card, and we'll see what it tells us to do. But when we come back, we got a bunch of stuff going on with Candace. We got to look at a London exhibition, occult exhibition that's going on, and then we'll tie it up. So I'm going to put some funky music for you. I'm going to go get something to drink, do a bathroom break. Max 10, probably back in 5. You guys, never fear. Woohoo! We're back. I turned some of this music down. Woohoo! All right, guys. Well, that was a quick little intermission. We are back on the scene. I hope you guys are all enjoying this new Sunday stream because I didn't think it was going to get that dark. I knew I was going to read something, but when I read that article, I felt this dark mojo weird spirit come over, and that's why I literally went a little quiet, and I was like, okay, this is a good time to take a break. This is a good time to get that dark black mojo crazy shit off of me because it's pretty sick. And you want to be aware and be able to observe this stuff, but you don't want to absorb it. And that was like an absorption. And I recognize it was an absorption. And I'll just remind you, that's why I tell you not to get locked up into this stuff. Don't spend hours reading that the Mormon Monarch. He's trying to make people aware, maybe. And I do have to remind you, this is allegedly. It goes on and on. But obviously he's talking about deep, crazy stuff within the Mormon church with that article. He's talking about CIA mind control and how the families are brainwashing and controlling people. They recruit people from the Mormon church to be in certain agencies. It definitely happens. What was that guy's name? He was Mormon and he was doing the movie with about trafficking children. I mean, who knows what level of depravity they'll go through and how much they'll lie. I mean, we don't know, but we know it's there. And just, where's my rock? I don't even have my rock. It's like, can we do a chanting and get that out of my stomach? Because it literally sucker punched me in the stomach. It wasn't a good thing. And I thought, well, take a break. We're going to come back because the shit is hitting the fan with Candace, obviously. And I don't have Twitter on my phone. I closed my other account. I do kind of peek in on it to get some news. So we will be doing some clips there. But as you may or may not know, she's been doing a lot of research on Charlie Kirk. She's taken a 2-week vacation. And this stuff happened here in Utah. A lot of Mormons were involved. Look, there's some crazy theories going on about this. There is one that obviously it's the CIA, the FBI, people within Utah, all involved. TPUSA, that's the alleged one. But even crazier, some people think Charlie Kirk's not even dead, that he's really alive, and they're all just actors. That's the level of insanity. When you have a government that lies, this is the level of insanity that happens, that nobody believes anything is real. And I think that's how the FBI wants it. They want us to go crazy. They want us to not know what reality is. And so I recommend, I'm going to do some house cleaning, maybe take the dogs for a walk, but I recommend after you engage with this or anything, just go for a walk in reality because they want us to have this twisted sense of the universe. I've heard exactly the same thing from other RA survivors. Yeah, ritual abuse. Yeah. I see what you mean. So the blood oath. Apparently, many years ago, there were some Mormons still carrying out the blood oath. And it wouldn't surprise me that this stuff was happening within these churches where the higher-ups were abusing their children in that level. And RAing them, electrocution, torture, drugs, medication. I mean, Utah is high for meds and plastic surgery. Did you know that? Yeah, it is. It's right up there. It is right up there. So we're going to go over and look at this clip for Candace. Let's get into the Candace stuff because this is it seems like Candace and a few other people are the only ones that are deeply engaged in finding the truth. Here we go. This is one. Candace Owens claims nothing in Charlie's life was real. Well, that's the funny thing. It feels like nothing's real. Like everybody is feeling like nothing's fucking real and it's all a stage. Excuse me for my language on this holy day. but nothing's real. None of the spirituality they show you, it's all just control systems, scripts, manipulation. Nothing's real. And I've had my share of crazy childhood trauma, but this stuff goes far beyond the pale. Let's hear what Candace said. Everyone's flipping out, saying that Candace is crazy, and that's what they'll call you. These guys with all their satanic stuff and their assassinations and their corruption and all their evil stuff, when someone starts speaking truth, they will smear them and call them crazy. They hate truth. Let's check it out.
20 minutes late. It had to do with server issues, and it's been too much of a repeat issue. I'm not a tech person, so it's frustrating for me because I can't fix it, and I feel like it's kind of out of my control. Anyways, let's jump right into this since we're already 20 minutes late. Don't worry, I'll make up for the time. Also, sorry, I look like I've been running outside with my kids because I have been. Obviously took a little more than a week off here from the show. Kind of like I said, when I left the podcast, it was just like kind of needing to hit the reset button. Things were getting very heavy. And honestly, I feel personally better, but things still feel very heavy in terms of the political scene. And I think for me, there was the grieving process, having to get to the accepting standpoint, getting to the point of acceptance, and then also realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing in his life was real. Like everyone's just like, oh, let's just move on. It's so crazy to want to figure out what happened. Let's just start issuing gag orders. And the way to honor him is to give money. I don't know. There's just something really sick and demonic about the entire thing. And speaking of demons, we're going to be talking about them a lot today. It's 20 minutes late. It had to do with server issues and
yeah. And then we've got another clip here that continues on where she talks about more stuff. And you should see all the is not real bots, the not real is not real bots on we got this one and we got this one here. We got a video of Peter Thiel to look at. So here they are. Here's Candace talking about AI and all this stuff.
I don't even think these people are human. Like I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know, like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like,
I think what she's seeing is that mind control, that they've been manipulated mind control, and it makes them look like alien bot-like. I think that's what she's seeing is the mind control process that happens to these people over their life. And I know, I guess Elon's supposed to be autistic, but I mean, these guys have just really traumatizing family backgrounds.
I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, you know, I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean? And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic, and people just get on board because, as we talked about in this book, they are using science and this idea of technology and this idea of transforming society for the better to indoctrinate us into accepting this. And it's wrong and it's backwards. And the main component of all of this is psychology, right? They're able to do it because of psychology, making you think that society has gotten better. Our kids have objectively gotten.
Psychology is a pseudoscience, and all that's happened is they've made things worse. Intentionally, I believe so.
Dumber. We've become fatter. We've become less healthy. We've become less emotionally sound. And yet they are convincing us that this is like humanity's great leap forward. We put a man on the moon, and he just like called them up and was like, hey, press, what's up? I'm up here. Yeah, it's so cool. It's really great. It's nice. Starry night up.
Actually, I'm going to correct her. My husband said this first. A lot of people criticize the phone, but they can tap a radio into a telephone at the time. So it was probably a legit phone call, but there's other suspicious things. They can actually tap wire radio, which is how they were communicating with apparently people on the moon. That could have been done in 1969. They could have tapped it into a phone call. It was very doable. There would have been a delay in the response because of the distance.
Here, okay, I'm gonna text you, I gotta go by in 69, and they get these people, they tell you like he's a genius. They're all writing like he's a genius, so we should just accept that Elon Musk is a genius, because like all the writers who are obviously indoctrinated into the occult are telling us that this is the next person that we should worship. The establishment of Hollywood, it was all occults. They were all Aleister Crowley proteges who were just raping kids.
We will do a show on Aleister Crowley. 100% we will. Maybe next Sunday before I go on my week vacation.
And summoning demons, and demons are real. So at the same time that they're summoning demons, they are making us all believe that faith is not real. And that has been, I think, the greatest trick that the devil ever played, right? Is making people think that he didn't exist, and making people atheist, making people...
Well, I would say he is a creation in the actual character of Satan, not Lucifer. Lucifer was always referring to a morning star. So I have very different opinions on that than Candace. She's very Catholic. But Satan, actually, you can trace him right back into like Iraq and Iran, Persia, that Iran, you can trace him way back, that figure. And same with Jesus, the Jesus figure. You can trace him back long before what we claim is Jesus existed in Mithra and other mythologies.
Believe that there's nothing, like you're here for a moment in time, because it allows them to further tether us to their reality and to their God, which is...
I'm more into your ancestors and who you're connected to. And hopefully they were healthy ancestors who actually loved you and didn't want to brainwash you and essay and violate you to turn you into some kind of bot weapon for the state.
Money, right? Well, if you truly knew and believed, like I do, I actually know that this is not it. Like I know this is not it. But if you truly believed that, you wouldn't sell your soul. People think that that's just like an expression. Oh, he sold his soul. No, you are literally selling your soul.
Yeah, all these contracts that they make, all these deals that they make, when you get into all these organizations and these agencies, you're selling your soul. But some of these children don't have a choice. They get offered because they're in with families that are elite psychopaths. Apparently, Trump was schooled as a Jesuit, and I think Kamala was schooled. Obama was schooled. They've all been like maturing candidates.
Soul. Like when you tell lies and you go down a path of lying because you're so afraid of not having the security of a paycheck, or you're willing to do something terrible to maintain that job, or keeping your mouth shut to maintain that job. We're seeing it right now with the Charlie Kirk case, right? You're selling your soul. Like there's a life after this. They have made you pledge your allegiance to their dollar because they know life is going on. They know that. They want you to literally sell them your soul. That's my personal belief. It's why I am religious. It's why I speak about, my faith openly, because I just know if this is not it. And I just know these people are demons. Like, I don't know. They just like, look at the way
they are demons for sure. You shouldn't trust any of them.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
Okay, here's Peter Thiel. Let's see what Peter Thiel actually says in this clip, because I don't know. We're viewing this together. Let's go.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
prefer to suck their brains out for dinner. I'm just going to use them for what I can.
I would
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit.
No. It's a simple question. Do you want humans to endure? Yes or no? That's an easy question. My answer would be yes right away. It could be complicated. There could be different levels, but you either want them to endure or you don't. That level's not the complicated question. Come on now, Teal. Do you know, like, let your inner psychopath shine out. That's what Peter Thiel.
The human race survive.
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say,
I believe that part of them experimenting and harming their own children and brainwashing people leads to transhumanism, by the way. And a lot of this trafficking and the Epstein trafficking, there's people who think that they're also experimenting. In fact, some of the victims have said they woke up on operating tables and crazy stuff like that, that they were actually experimenting with them as forms of making like replicas or AI people or clones, stuff like that. Strange stuff that experiments with their sexual organs, like almost like you know what? Almost like some people report alien abductions, which makes me suspicious that the alien abduction memory was put in their head and they were experimented on, but it wasn't aliens. It was actually these twisted people. And maybe they are aliens. I don't know. Maybe Peter Thiel's from planet I don't know what the fuck.
The trans people in a sexual context, or a transvestite, is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And
so Mega, this is who you voted for. This is who's behind JD Vance. This sucker right here who runs Palantir. And Palantir comes from Lord of the Rings. That Palantir all-seeing little globy thing. Good Lord.
Okay, we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way, the critique Orthodox Christianity has of this is these things don't go far enough. Like that transhumanism is just changing your body, but you also need to transform your soul. And you need.
Okay. When Orthodox Christianity criticizes you, it's not because they want you to transform your soul with your technology. Soul transformation, I don't think that's what I think he's misquoting purposely Orthodox Christians because he's a psychopath. There's no way Orthodox Christians are down with this. They would actually see this as a very evil, demonic thing because they're playing God, right? Right?
You transform your whole self. And so
right, but the other wait. I generally agree with what I think is your belief that religion should be a friend to science.
Oh dear. Science is a religion now. Don't you know that? Science has become a religion.
And ideas of scientific progress. I think any idea of divine providence has to encompass the fact that we have progressed and achieved and done things that would have been unimaginable for our ancestors. But it still also seems like, the promise of Christianity in the end is you get the perfected body and the perfected soul through God's grace. And the person who tries to do it on their own with a bunch of machines is likely to end up as a dystopian character.
Exactly. Thank you, sir, for pointing that out. Now let's see what he responds with.
Well,
he's a terrible public speaker, by the way, because he's a liar and dishonest.
Let's articulate this.
And you can have a heretical form of Christianity, that says something else.
I don't know. I think the word nature does not occur once in the Old Testament. And so, if you and there is a word in which, a sense in which the way I understand, the Judeo-Christian inspiration is, it is about transcending nature. It is about overcoming things. And, and the closest thing you can say to nature is that people are fallen, and that's the natural thing in a Christian sense, is that you're messed up, and that's true. But there's some ways that, with God's help, you are.
Keyword, Teal, with God's help. The thing is, when we get into this realm and that kind of talk, it runs into authoritarians because it always runs into a utopian. There's no such thing. It's not going to happen. It doesn't exist. I want to find that original video, and I thought I had it, of Candace. Let's see. She's trending, so it shouldn't be that hard to find it. It's where she talks about Here we go.
Everything that happened with Charlie and what it kind of means in terms of where we are. And I think it is a circumstance where we just know. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you.
And she's right. So that's what they do. This is all part of creating more energy for them. They do the deed, they whack them off, they do, like, you can see the Mormon church is participating in this, and then they hold on to the narrative and they get you to see them as the good guy who's honoring Charlie Kirk as a martyr. Charlie Kirk wasn't a martyr. He didn't martyr himself. He was murdered. Let's keep that in mind. And so when they do these things and they have all these, special days for people, it's because they've killed them. Same with, and I know we honor our veterans here, but those Veterans Days are to say, oh, here you go, here's a day, even though we're constantly doing war for money and slaughtering your young men. That's literally how I see it. You don't have to see it that way, but she's right. It's like literally the red flag that they've probably done the deed. If you know what I mean.
That's like their signature thing. It's like that's what they do. It's the Fed signature. It's how they sign off after they murder you. They're like holiday in a boulevard. And it's never on a nice side of town either. Like Charlie Kirk Boulevard is not going to be a nice side of town. Anyways, I will be back on the 27th, you guys.
Yeah, because they don't want you to know. They don't want you, the martyred person, they don't want you to be on one of their boulevards in their fancy areas, reminding them of the crime. They'll just put it in the poor area to remind the poor people of how generous they are. Piercing Studios 109 Tattoo. Thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. Great job. I'm going to go through the comments at the end. So if you have questions and comments within half hour, 40 minutes, I'll go through it. I'm going to pull a tarot card at the end, guys. I'm reminding you, just kind of give us the vibe where we go in. I don't take it too seriously. I don't expect people to live their nature by this, but Candace will be back tomorrow.
Thank you guys for all the support throughout these couple of weeks, these last really kind of 6 weeks.
And so you notice that people are saying Candace Owens now claimed that Trump had a part in Charlie Kirk's murder. They lost it. No. Look at this. Cat Turd, all of them. These guys are, Cat Turd's an idiot. They're getting paid to do this. And I mean, people, like, there's a lot of Democrats that think Charlie Kirk's still alive. I don't know, because I'm not associating with any party, because I'm just analyzing all of them, because there's corruption everywhere. And we know there's corruption everywhere. We know. So that was it on Candace Owens talking about Charlie Kirk. And this is tied all back into all the recruitment stuff that's happening and the how they fuck people up over here in Utah. The Mormon church is highly involved with this. And remember, there's Zionista. They are. You drive around here in Utah and you see the Bank of Zion, Zion this, Zion that, Zion. I think some of them, they actually believe they are somehow related to some native tribes that are the original Israelites. None of it makes sense. It's absolutely fucking insane. But they believe it. They believe it nevertheless. That is how it goes. And I'm just always so disturbed by some of this stuff. You almost can't find words for this disturbing stuff. Also, guys, Tuesday, there's a show coming out for paid subscribers on the Substack. And we analyze Erica Kirk. I'm not saying she did it. I'm not saying she was involved. But we analyzing Erica Kirk. It's a good one. It's going to be out Tuesday morning. That's melissadonharris.substack.com. You can subscribe for free. There's lots of free stuff, but that one's a paid one. There's a whole bunch of archives in there for the paid people as well. Just giving that a shout out. And hopefully soon we'll get to the ability for people for me to give exclusives on YouTube too, to put that exclusive stuff on YouTube so you can be a member on YouTube or send super chats. And I used to have that, but it's a long story. It's not even that interesting. It's just really kind of wackadoodle. So yeah, everything's gone just so crazy. And if you go out there and you'll search stuff on the plane that mysteriously left, everything seemed orchestrated. And like she says, everything in Charlie Kirk's life seemed artificial, because it is artificial. The stuff is all fake. It's like as fake as they come. I'm wondering if anybody in Charlie Kirk's life since he was 18 and onward were even real. And all the people coming out, the people that are coming out against Candace, especially the big podcasters and the big influencers, makes me realize how Israel is not real, has its money in its pockets all over. You can see them all over TikTok and bots. Ian Chong, whatever the hell his name is, on X, he was going on, oh yeah, so we're all get $7,000 a post. No, but Ian Miles Chong works for Rebel News, which is run by a Zionist. Big time. Huge. This isn't just America. This is not America First stuff. This is not, because we wouldn't be sending money to slaughter Palestinians. Guarantee you, over in Palestine, you know what they're going to do? On top of the bodies of the slaughtered and murdered, they're going to build like beach estate, real estate, and skyscrapers and hotels and their little crazy, insane, soulless temple. It's going to be whack. And it's why I can't get with any of the major religions. And I know Candace is Catholic, but I can't get with any of them because they're all corrupt. They're all about money. Money is the God. People are no longer the God. Not the God, but they don't actually believe, they don't want us to know that, the essence of God is within every person. Money's the God. Communities and people are not important. They give lip service to it. They lie about it. They'll use your beliefs to manipulate you on, and get you to go on their sides for wars or whatever. But people are not important, because you know how they always said Argentina was doing so well, and that guy, he's put in there by Is Not Real as well, that he was doing so great and cutting the budget and doing this. Then suddenly we have to give him $50 billion or something like that for a bailout. Oh really? If he was doing so good, why are we bailing him out? Apparently he's not doing so good over there in Argentina. It's just so insane, and it's on both sides. It's like you can't avoid it. It's like a horror movie where you're running around and you think you knew everyone and people were helping you and you're winning, and at the end you realize you're by yourself and everybody's been turned into zombies, and you're like in this really crazy, devastating way, because you're like, is anybody good? Does anybody care? Is anybody out there? Like, is it just me? Oh my God. I'm sure Candace actually feels that way. when she's dealing with this. And some people think she's controlled opposition. I mean, it's fair enough. It's a fair enough angle to look at, but I'm not too sure that is that's accurate. I'm not too sure at all. And let's see if we can. People are, they're kind of freaking out. She did not, people are saying she's saying that Trump murdered him. She's not saying that. She's saying Trump allowed it to happen. She's saying Trump and all these people allowed it to happen. That this is all, they're all connected together. Yeah. It's so insane. So we'll see what Candace has to say tomorrow on her. People are reporting too that Charlie Kirk, he was that they were filing for divorce anyways. I don't know if that's true. That's an allegation I'm seeing people make on TikTok, but so many people make shit up on TikTok, or they just grab something quickly and make a video and they don't check it. The one good thing if you watch Candace is they fact check everything and they go through everything very thoroughly. A hell of a lot thoroughly than most people, even half the government does. Remember, these people are compartmentalized that are in charge of things. They're compartmentalized because they are tortured and trained to be that way. And when I was looking at, I think it's Predictive History's channel, he talks about the schools, the elite schools like Yale, Harvard, and Princeton, and they're pretty much it's a way to churn out people and further brainwash them and get them into the system of elite families and get those people into the system so they control government, technology, religion, medication, like it's not about competency. It's not about who can have the most stable country. It's about who can be the biggest psychopath going. And I think if kind of got rid of those schools, a lot of problems would go away. But then you have to get rid of those people. We're literally inundated with psychopaths from these elite families. And they keep producing more and more psychopaths. It's like fucking... Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Let's go into our last story. And we're going to leave the Candace Owens stuff. She'll be back tomorrow. She's vying for Charlie Kirk and investigating this, and I hope she really understands the level of involvement that the Mormon church higher-ups have with the CIA and the FBI and the ritual weird stuff that they believe that is absolutely damaging to human beings. This is a little bit fun, more fun. It's a news segment. This is our news segment. We're going to go into what is going on. Might be fun. It's called the London Exhibition, explores worldwide history of the supernatural. Dark Secrets, the esoteric exhibition featured cursed dolls, vampire hunting kits, and occult relics. And don't forget, guys, Tuesday and Thursday, we're going live. Tuesday is at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursday is at 9 p.m. Eastern. Jared and Nish are here, both guest shows on Tuesday. We're talking into the occult. Jared's got some stuff, and Nish always has something to say. And Thursday is Dark Shadows Day. Walter Bosley, who, by the way, Walter Bosley was an FBI agent and had a handler, I think. So you go to his channel and check that out, the Walter Bosley channel. Walter and Todd Wood are coming on, and we're talking, maybe wear a cape and some vampire makeup or something, and we'll do Dark Shadows. It's a good show. But it introduced occult stuff. I wonder if you got to wonder what went on with that show. Because there was a lot of occult stuff being introduced there. My goodness. Okay, so let's go back to this one. And just a reminder, Tuesday and Thursday, be here. We'll be here. And don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video. The Dark Secrets Esoteric Exhibition is open to the public since October the 11th. offered audiences antiquities as varied as Europe's largest collection of cursed dolls, a 19th century vampire hunting kit. They got shrunken heads created by an Amazon shower tribes as war trophies. A lot of these occultists, they spent time over in these other countries, like in colonial times in Britain, and they've seen these tribes reenacting with curses and rituals, and they bring a lot of that information back when they started things like Wicca, like Gerald Gardner, and same with Aleister Crowley. He traveled around. They had money to spend, I guess. The exhibition also aims to debunk and expose fraudulent mediums and illusionary devices like Ouija boards and slates that supposedly captured messages from the dead. I personally believe it's not the board. I believe if you're getting messages, it's the human being you need. It's not really about the board. So I don't get worked up about them. It's the people. The people are either scamming or they're the conduit. Flesh and blood. I believe you need flesh and blood, mind and soul, and all that stuff. So speaking to Reuters on Thursday, forensic anthropologist and magician Matteo Borini said, "You see how mediums were using methods if we don't use the trick words to actually pretend that they were in contact with spirits. So you'll see here some slates." I want to say something about that right now. I'm going to do a little commentary on that. The stuff that they were doing in mediumship, cold reading, that's not psychic abilities. You want to go look at psychic abilities, look at Dean Radin, look at studies like that. There is a connection. And, our media tends to hype up these kind of freak show, like sort of things where it's all this like, oh my God, they're rapping on the walls and demons and levitation. That's not real psychic interconnectivity. And I've said this before, the psychic interconnectivity stuff is something that we experienced as tribes, where you don't have to say very much and you can communicate certain things and you can sense when things are happening and it can be measured. Dean Radin did a lot of studies on this. This stuff that they talk about, these vampire kits and shrunken heads and the Fox sisters, this is just media caca. I like to call it. It's caca poo poo from the media. It's not real psychic abilities, and I'd say it's more a natural intuition. The same with these ghost hunting shows. It's like, what a joke. Anyway, and nowadays it's become more popular in a commercial way. Yeah, they're making money off of it. It was a commercial back then too. People made money on it. So they're running this exhibition until May 2026, and it is happening. It's a 1-minute read. It didn't take us that long. It's going to have 1,000 objects divided in 27 rooms. Relatively contemporary exhibits included a jacket worn by Jimi Hendrix, rumored to be linked to his premature death at the age of 27, and a ceremonial staff attributed to British occultist Aleister Crowley. It's going to debunk things. It's going to be logical. The Ouija board. Like I said, that's all people. They said they're going to have druid artifacts, like carved ritualistic monoliths. The exhibition also serves, gosh, Lord, what happened here? There's a reminder to Halloween's pagan and druid experiments. Other paranormal forgeries, they'll show you fakeries, werewolf skull, fake skeletons of fairies, two-headed fox created by Soviet surgeon Vladimir Demikov. The doctor claimed that his two-headed creation survived for a few days, but this claim remains contested. Yes, but they also claim they had Hitler's body and they just gave us nothing but crapola. There's nothing but a skull that's not even Hitler's, and they burnt the body in the 70s and scattered the ashes. So I don't even know that they had Hitler's body. Okay, so, I mean, if you're in London, which I will not be, you could probably go check this out. It's running from October to May 2026. Some of you might be interested. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. The hoaxes, because we know within this realm of spiritual, there's always hoaxes. There's people who, when it's too exorbitant, when it's too out there in your face, it's for attention. And I always understood it. Spiritual, it's very quiet. A lot of times you hear presidents go on like, God is speaking to me and I have this mission, and they go on. And I don't think the Holy Spirit, I would call it my higher self, I don't think that's how it talks. I think it's very quiet. And anything that's a good message for you, you're going to get it in quiet spaces, away from the crazy, away from stuff like that. You're not going to find that stuff sitting in a crowded area. It's called inner work for a reason. It's in doing mundane tasks that you find spiritual alignment. It's in just being simple, walking in nature. You can meditate too. I mean, if you're into that. I'm not a big meditator, but it's in simple stuff. And being with your family and understanding your hereditary energy and your ancestor. That's spiritual work too, apparently. All this stuff where it's like, oh my God, the Annabelle doll is coming, and that's not where it is. That is National Enquirer. That's a headline that's meant to get your attention and take it away from where the real spiritual element of yourself is. And some people are so, when they go quiet, it's so chaotic. There's, they have a lot of trauma. They just don't want to go there. And we're doing everything in this world to escape it. And of course, the society will offer anything they can to make money so you can escape it. So it's a convoluted thing. I don't know. You guys, I'm thinking about also talking and doing a show on food and diet and eating and healthy stuff, just to keep me on track, because I've been doing that lately. So let me know if you want to kind of do a show on that, or DM me. I don't know. Where am I? I'm not on TikTok anymore. I have a Facebook page, so you can DM there, or you can send an email. It is melissadharris77@gmail.com. So that's that. And of course, the melissadonharris.com on the website. The email information and social media contacts all on melissadonharris.com. Wow, 2 hours of talk, huh? It's so great. What dog is left in here? Okay, it's just Maxie. He's over here. He has taken up, I have this little chair in the corner here with my little I call it the love pomegranate squishmallow. I got it for Valentine's Day. He cuddles up there. He seems very attached to me. I rescued him off the streets, so he's super attached to me. The other dogs they've had enough of my live streaming. They've just had enough of me. They don't want to deal with this anymore. So now we got through that stuff. Not a lot. If you guys have any comments or stuff that you think, like, I don't know, I've done a show on some crazy stuff, but I really want to do a show on Aleister Crowley. So let me know if you would attend that on a Sunday. In our Order of Velvet Bite, do we want to talk about, because I'm going to be fair. If I talk about Aleister Crowley, I'm not just going to be, ooh, the wickedest man in the world. I'm going to be fair and denote where I think the myths are and what the reality and what his serious problem was. I'll be fair. So you guys let me know in the comments or after the show if you want to see that. We'll definitely bring that to you, because I would love more than anything to talk about Aleister Crowley. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take a drink because my throat is dry. What is everybody having for supper tonight? I was going to make turkey meatballs, but I think I'm going to make it into like a carnivore Mexican salad, because I've got some ground turkey. I'm going to do like a carnivore Mexican bowl. Does that even make sense? Is that even possible? I think I can do it. We want to get, I'm just going to use your basic rider weight. Let's get the glare from the lights off. Basic. Yeah, it's glaring. Might have to shield it. And look, guys, I'm doing this for fun. I am no professional card reader. So don't go staking your life on this. And I'm always with the idea that if you're going to do tarot, do the reading, Give it time, test it out, see if it's stuff, and be objective. Really, you want to be objective, see if things come to play. I want to do a show on a tarot, and I actually did a show with a guest who was a professional tarot reader years ago, and I might bring up some clips from that, because he did a reading about and kept saying there's somebody there that you're going to be in a relationship with. I'm like, you're crazy. And I think it came too. I might play that one. It was a few years ago, but we might do that show too on a Sunday. Get a little out of, I don't want to talk about, murdering Mormons and blood sacrifice atonement crap every Sunday, because that just took me out. I don't know if that takes you out, reading stuff like that, but that just made me ill. Just like watching Charlie Kirk made me ill, what happened to him. It should make anybody ill if you're a normal human being. So let's shuffle. So what I always do, I usually do a little quick 3-card draw for people, but I'm just going to do a card, and this is it because it told me, and I just do it till it says, this is it. Stop right here and pull the card. And we pulled, holy crap, we pulled the Justice card. That's today's show. Like, we all want justice, but I think there's some justice coming, and we may never ever get to see it, but the people who do this stuff, in one way or another, they have justice. I always want them to have justice on this planet, but I don't ever think, hey, Hernandez, tongue sticking out. That's cute. It doesn't, see, on my system, it doesn't show. I bet you if I looked at it on YouTube, I would see the emoji, but it just shows the code for the emoji. That's really annoying. Here, I mean, I like to look at their official. So, of course, justice is equity, righteousness, probity, and executive. It wasn't in reverse. Reverse, it would have been bigotry, bias, excessive severity, which really we have right now. We have justice in reverse. But this is justice flipped upside down. So I'm hoping, in reference to all of you, you get that justice, things are fair. I'm going to try to be as fair as I can on these shows, even when it comes to someone who you might not like. You may not like Aleister Crowley, but I will tell you, there are people who were doing streams years ago, and they're like, Aleister Crowley, evil spirit, was here. He sacrificed children. Go look it up. The guy literally stopped for a tea there and left. Like, he was not really ever there. And they do that with Ted Bundy. You get these nefarious figures. You get these nefarious figures, and people will try to attach it to anything so they can have attention for their show, or they do their stream. There was people doing a stream saying they had spiritual contact with Charlie Kirk. That's weird. The last thing I want to mention, so we had the Justice card for today. The Justice card. It's a good card. I'm glad we had a good card. I flipped, goddamn. I asked about my podcast, and I flipped the devil. The devil card came up, and to me, that's always, like, everyone has different interpretation. But the people who are chained, the woman and female are chained to the devil in the tarot card. That always represents, like, you're chained to your ego, you're chained to material. And so I had to be less about stats and material, because I can get, like, really analytic, and I had to be more myself and spiritual. I tend to not like to say a lot about my private life, just because there's psychos out there, right? I've had too many psychos online stalk me and all sorts of crazy stuff. So you want to be fair in what you delve. And I'm not one to like to do a cry fest on online. Like, I don't like, whoa, my God, my life sucks, and you want to hear about my ex, and I don't like that kind of content. It's just not for me. It's just a waste of my energy. I wanted to mention one thing too about Candace. We're kind of going back. So we've got our section, we do our main thing. I should have done this earlier on synchronicities, dreams, and reflections, because it's something I want to talk about. I did our film clips, our clips on whatever current events with Candace, and then our You know, we talked about Substack early on. You know, make sure you go there. But one thing I didn't talk about, Candace Owens did a stream and she talked about a dream. Maybe I'll go find that on here. I'll show you. She said she had a dream about Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk came to her in a dream. And he basically said to her in the dream that he had been betrayed. And she said this on her show, and people went apeshit about it. Like, oh, yeah, the dream, blah, blah, blah. That's so ridiculous. She's lost her mind. And it just tells you how far removed we are from spiritual notions, because dreams were always important in polytheism. They were definitely important in the goddess era of religion. And now it's like, if you have a dream and you're like, look, I think this is a indicator, it doesn't necessarily mean it's Charlie Kirk. It could be her subconscious saying something's wrong here. There's a betrayal, and it's using Charlie, the symbolism of Charlie, to tell her that, and people are making fun of her. And I just wanted to reference that, because what you have to do is you have to have the dream. You can't go all crazy and act on the dream necessarily, but you have to be like, okay, is this leading me somewhere? Is there something in my subconscious that I've noted that I've forgotten about that's trying to tell me? And then you have to kind of look at, is there evidence for this? And I think that's what Candace is doing, and she's doing it really well, because it's an intuition that people poo-poo as stupid women. But I know women and men who have dreams, and and the dreams mean something. They either come true or they're reflecting. Everything just went crazy. My lights are on. My camera just went crazy. Everything went nuts. What just happened there? No, that's a different camera. I don't know what happened, guys. The camera went crazy. I'm in the dark. What's gone on? It just did a switch. Let me see here. That's really, I was just talking about listening to your dreams, and it put me in the darkness. What's going on? Is this spooky? Should well, I'm definitely not scared, but I'm going to see why. I'm going to see why, because my camera's working. It's on, but it's just like, it just went, I had this stuff flashed up and said it disconnected, but it didn't disconnect. Exposure. And my light's on and everything. Look, I don't know what happened and why my camera went weird like that. Okay, well, we're going to finish it up anyways with the dream on Candace. I'm really in the dark. It feels weird. I'm in the dark here, but everything's on and the camera's on. All the lights are on. Woo! My goodness, that was weird. This has never happened on one of my streams before. Someone did something. Maybe it was the dream power. Maybe I'm on to something. So the Candace dream, and your dreams mean something. And I'm glad that Candace is strong enough to go with her intuition, because it's usually your subconscious has something there that your conscious mind isn't aware of. And it's screaming to you like, hey, you need to pay attention to this. I cannot tell you how many times I've had this, and people are making fun of it. I was going to go show, maybe I'll still show you guys the clip. We'll go into the smaller mode and see if that works. No, it's still, I'm in the dark. This is really bizarre. Maybe my camera just like, well, my mic went, it disconnected my mic and muted my mic and everything. And yeah, it's still hooked up to my HD camera. So bizarre. I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry. What an unexpected thing of the stream. I'm gonna go anyways. Let me look and see if I can find Candace talking about her dream, and then we'll pair it up on that, because dreams are so important. If there's one thing you should know, when I was married to my first husband, that's the father of my son, it was such a chaotic, abusive, psychologically, not physically. I had nightmares nonstop. The minute we divorced, even though there was a 3-year period where I'm try to fix the camera a bit. I'm like maxing out the exposure so you can actually see my face. Even though there was like a 3-year period of divorce, as soon as I moved out and it was done, even though there was still hell to deal with him, I never had any more nightmares. Let's see, Candace. We'll type that in. Okay, let's go into the smaller screen. We are in the smaller screen. Okay, this is crazy. Let's do this and we'll tie it up and then we'll see you Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. I'll have a show out for the free subscribers and the paid shows coming on Substack. And then Sunday we'll maybe do Aleister Crowley. And then I have a week off. You won't see me around because I have to get this house painted. But let's share this with you. And I want to remind you that Candace had a dream. And I don't think you should go crazy about your dreams necessarily and act on them, but you need to take them as an indicator that either something's happening there with you or something's happening for real. And Candace has been like me where she's had prophetic dreams that's come true. So here we go.
I want to share this with you. You can take it or you can leave it, but Charlie was betrayed. I know this. I've known this really since the first second, but I rarely have vivid dreams. And I did, in fact, have a very vivid one over the weekend. In fact, the last time that I had a super vivid dream, I was pregnant. It tends to happen a lot to women when they're pregnant. But in that dream from 2023, my former producer of the show and I were standing in the control room, and she told me that she was 26 weeks pregnant. This is in the dream. And she told me exactly what month the baby was coming. I asked her in the dream, is it a boy? Is it a girl? And she said, it's a boy. I woke up and I immediately texted my producer in real life and I said, hey, you're pregnant, just so you know, it's a boy. And then she found out that she was pregnant 1 week later. She had no idea when I texted her. And it's something that we reflected on a couple of months later because she was just totally shocked looking back on it. And this is our text chain from, you can see, 2023. She said, you texted me June 16th. And I think I got pregnant June 26th. This is crazy. And it's going to be a boy. It's nuts. I said, I'm telling you, your baby visited me. It was an insanely vivid dream. He was on his way. And she said, that is so bizarre. My mom also texted me that week saying that she had a dream I was pregnant. I said, I haven't had a dream that vivid since. It's been my only vivid dream this entire pregnancy. I believe people can communicate in dreams on their way in and on their way out of this world. I similarly, like I just said, had a vivid dream this weekend, and Charlie came to me and he told me that he was betrayed. And so for me, you don't have to believe that, but I do believe that. And it was the immediate sense I got, actually. And I don't know who exactly it is that betrayed him, but I also felt in the dream that it is soon going to be revealed, that it's actually inevitable that it is going to be revealed, that there is nothing and no one that is going to stop the dream from coming out, and it is going to have international consequences. Take that to the bank. Quote me on that. Women tend to have a stronger intuition about people, I would say. I think it was the writer, producer Conrad Flynn that recently went on to Tucker Carlson's show, and he discussed that phenomenon in the context of the persecution of Christ. He's talking about Pontius Pilate's wife warning him not to persecute Jesus. Take a listen to that portion of their conversation.
And if you look at Pontius Pilate, you know, he wants to set, he at some point he flips and he's like, this guy is innocent. My wife is having dreams about this man. That's another thing that's underreported in history. Wife as soothsayer / dreamer. Yeah. I mean, your wife has many times been like, I have a bad feeling about this guy, Tucker. Don't have him on your show. And her intuition is such that even though there's no necessarily hard evidence, you know, it's your wife's take on stuff. You don't ignore it. But that's
I have ignored it, and
you're like, I've actually never listened to that.
No, I mean, I've been married 34 years as of Saturday, and it's like a joke in my house. I told you he was.
I had people ignore my warnings in dreams, and I've ignored my own dreams, all to my own consequences. Like, yeah, it's just so dreams will tell you, and there's a difference between prophetic dreams and other dreams. They're different, and you don't forget them.
I don't know. He's hilarious. He seems like a good guy to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you'd be the Pontius Pilate where she's like, oh, don't arrest this man. I had a dream.
100%.
And you're like, whatever. I'm doing my work right now.
I'm very shallow. So someone who's amusing or fun to have dinner with, I just get swept away. I like that guy. You know what I mean?
You're like, Barabbas was amazing on that podcast. I gotta have him on. He's fantastic.
It's actually really funny because I'm recapping conversations that I've had with Tucker where I'm like, I don't know why you trust that person at all. He's obviously a bad guy. And he's like, really, I like him, but I had a really nice dinner with him. Anyways, obviously what they're accurately describing, I should say, especially between a husband and a wife, definitely my relationship with my husband, I can say that from almost the very moment that I learned that Charlie was not going to make it, I said to George through tears.
Charlie, unfortunately, was probably dead the moment he was shot and hit the ground.
That he was betrayed. And now we're all just sort of on this journey to find out by who. So I released a text message yesterday, dropped it on the world, and it caused, and this is putting it mildly, a lot of panic. As I said, the chatter on X was top tier. Emphasis on the tier, because there were a lot of them being shed by everyone who was discounting me. She's this, she's that, she's lying. Charlie never changed his mind. He was committed to Israel to the day he died. In fact, he almost died for Israel. That was the vibe they were putting down, and I was getting angrier.
Okay, well, we'll just pop that out because like I told you, he didn't die for Israel. He was murdered by Israel. There was no martyring. That's all fake. So I'll figure out. I have my exposure. I've had to pop it up on my camera to top notch. If I had done this normally, my face would be glowing. It would be like we were on the sun. You wouldn't be able to do this. So there's something just happened to my camera and my microphone. It had to do with this. So I will figure out this tech stuff. But yeah, dreams are important. You have to measure them cautiously. They could be your own insecurities, or they could be meaning something about a situation. So we're going to cap it off there. And I'm just going to remind you guys about Tuesday show at 7 p.m. Eastern, Jaron Niche on the occult. Thursday show, Walter Bosley and Todd Woods is coming, and we're doing Dark Shadows, and hopefully I'll have my camera sorted out. I hope, because otherwise it's going to be an interesting show without the camera working properly. That was really bizarre. So I always end, remember, don't wear their logos, don't go to their events, their mass events, and do not give them money. And now we can say dreams and synchronicities, they're there for a reason. And only your dreams, not people interpreting your dreams or the algorithm synchronicities that can be manipulated. All right, you guys, I want to thank you for showing up this stream on Sunday. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's do it every Sunday. Let's talk maybe Aleister Crowley or something like that next Sunday. I'll have some clips ready, and hopefully my camera will be fixed by Tuesday, you guys. Take care, and I'm signing out. Cheers.
you.